Truth and Tea with the Urban Evangelist. Welcome to Truth and Tea with the Urban Evangelist.
Hi there, and welcome back to Truth and Tea. It is the podcast and the show that filters life through faith. And we're still going full steam ahead. We're 7 episodes deep, and it's Truth and Tea. And I'm actually glad that, the weather has been giving us some respite. So it's actually an apt time to be sipping on that cup of tea. Today, I do have someone joining me who's going to be pouring from his cup on the courage to start. And he started, and he's doing an amazing job, because even as I introduce him, there's actually award-winning already in his title, you know what I mean? And it just took the courage to just start and do something and just step out. So I am having a conversation today with Bluseke, also known as Blue. He's a marketing executive, like I said, award-winning. Let's put some respect on that name. And he's also the CEO and founder of Blink Marketing Zambia. Welcome to Truth and Tea.
Thank
Blue.
you. Thank you so much.
Can I call you Blue?
Please. It's easier.
It's easier, isn't it?
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on the show, by the way.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you, because it's one of my favorite conversations to have on just the courage to start and just to see it through, because sometimes it's easier to start, right?
But seeing it through is another story.
Exactly.
Or to finish.
Right. And to finish strong, for that matter.
Absolutely.
But on a lighter note, what do you do when you wake up feeling blue?
no pun intended. I think for me, I always say my therapy is music. I think I am probably one of the most annoying people to pass through in traffic in the morning, because I blast my music quite loud.
So you're one of those that's like constantly nodding your head in the
sometimes
car,
just even
oblivious to everyone around you?
Yes.
Okay.
But music is my source. My son is my source as well. He's too fun. He's too full of energy. So if you go there with the whole down approach,
it's not gonna work.
It won't work.
Reminds me of. You kind of sound like you're talking about me right now, because music is also my go-to therapy, and I am that person in the car. And with 5 sons, I feel like it's Energizer bunnies on steroids.
I know it is.
I can relate.
5 sons.
Yes.
And congratulations on your newborn.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, Blue, so let's get into it. You left formal employment. You left the corporate world. And is that congratulations?
I think it should be.
It should be, isn't it? Exactly. I think it is.
Yeah.
And I know that people say if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. So as someone who's pretty much experienced both sides of the spectrum, you've been in formal corporate employment, and now you're doing your own thing. What are your views on that statement?
I actually feel it's a lot more work, to be honest, because there are a lot of structures, systems that you were there in a corporate world that when you're now moving into your own business, it is you to actually put them together. You may hire the right people, find that help support, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you. And also, funny enough, it was your husband, Len, who actually told me that. That you will be the hardest working person for the first 5 years. So I think, and when he told me that, I think I was just like a few months in, I was thinking, wow, 5 more years
to go.
But I said, okay, fine, point taken. And I apply it every day now. It's like, okay, wake up and it's, guys, we need to do this. You need to be the heartbeat. You need to be the guy who's pushing until they also start getting that momentum. And it's funny because sometimes you push, your team gets into the rhythm, and then they fall back again. You have to put them up again. So I would say doing what I love is a dream. It is a dream come true, but it's now building a bigger dream, building an empire that requires a whole lot more work than there was work in the corporate world. Before, it'd be like, okay, you're looking forward to the weekend or holidays. Now there's no holidays.
Exactly.
There's no weekends. There's always work. But
so it's just like a seamless work cycle.
Yes, it never ends, but still love it.
Does it get vicious?
It does. It does. It does. And I think every day there's something to learn, to be honest. Even the viciousness on its own, there's competition also that comes into play. There is systems, there's policies, there's even just the fact that sadly our our economy, our country is still building on the SME front. So as an SME, there's a lot that you keep on having to pull and connect. So I think that's where the viciousness actually comes in. It's just the fact that we need more support systems and structures, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you mentioned, like how you have to be the one that keeps the momentum going.
Yeah.
Has there been times where now that you're the one wearing the CEO hat, it takes you back to when you're in the corporate world and you kind of understand why your boss was a certain way?
Absolutely.
Do you have moments like that?
Absolutely. Now I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I actually get it. And for them, it was a situation where you're now a CEO of a corporate, whether it's like an MTN or Zanaco, for example.
Right.
And you are trying to also build a legacy. You're trying to change things. You're trying to move a company from being non-profit to profit-making. You're trying to look at shareholders, dividends. There's a whole lot more. And you know that, okay, if we don't meet this, I'm out of a job. So even on my end, it's more or less like, okay, we're trying to achieve all of these goals and meet all these objectives. And now it just kind of plays into say, I now get why they had so much pressure. I now get why they would push so much, because that's what's required in order for you to actually make it. So, yeah,
I guess that's why they say heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Very heavy.
And you can't pass that on to anyone else, that pressure.
You can't. You can try. I mean, there's delegating that you do, but the pressure on its own, no one else can tell your story as well as you can. And also no one else knows your dream and what you're trying to accomplish. You may speak it out, but at the end of the day, it means something to you and you can't pass that on to another person. So it's who's constantly pushing. And to be honest, a lot of employees then in the world that we live in, they may live by the dream, the values, but at the end of the day, if they're not getting their paycheck, they move on because the main thing is for them is a source of income. So yeah, it's about, you may drill in the dream, the values, but it's bigger than that for them.
They need to make that bread.
They need to make that bread, exactly.
Which leads me very well into the next question. Like when you're starting up, there's a lot of teething pains. And I'm not sure, which again is something else that I will highlight as we progress in our conversation. I'm not sure how far ahead you planned, like before you left the corporate space to set up your own thing. But in as far, at least as teething pains go, how difficult has that been? Like, have you ever found yourself maybe in a given month where you've actually been unable to give people paychecks? I mean, these are realities on the ground about startups. And what have you learned from that?
And very good question, because I think a lot of SMEs, well, we hear about it from business people, entrepreneurs, but we don't really look at solutions or even just talking about it, because it does affect not only the employees, but even the CEO.
Exactly.
Yeah. So on my side, planning for Blink was 2 years before it actually happened.
I see.
So that helped in terms of savings and everything. I remember telling myself that I need at least 6 months worst case scenario, or a year best case in terms of savings that would take care of overheads of the business, so that year we're focused on hunting and getting the clients in, getting the revenue in. So I think there was only one time where it was like, okay, salaries are literally due tomorrow and these clients haven't paid. But then you're now thinking, okay, well, I live by the day we say we're paying, we must pay. Because that also gets your employees motivated as well. They don't look outside to say, let me go and get this side hustle or do that, or then borrow and then get stressed, and then they bring that stress into the work environment. So for me, if we're paying on the 25th, let's pay on the 25th. And a client paid, I think, it reflected in our account like at 5 p.m. on the day.
Oh, wow. Talk about saving grace.
Saving grace. So sometimes, I actually sit and just like, this is only God. There's no way. So we've been fortunate. We've been open for a year and 2 months now. And every month we managed to make pay. And for me, that's something that I'm going to be committed to. Unfortunately, a lot of CEOs also sidetrack. You find money comes in, you want to sort out personal stuff and everything. For me, it's let's sort out what's there first. Let's sort out our employees. Then let's look at what the business needs. Then let's look at other personal stuff.
So what comes in is just for the business alone. Is that what has helped? You can't siphon funds to, other facets of your life?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So no gratification, in short, for you?
So there is, by standard law, I am supposed to get something. My salary is actually 4,000 kwacha. You believe they get? I think I'm actually the lowest paid employee. I actually need to bring it up, but yeah, but it's about being able to have different sources of income. So there is Blink, yes, but even prior to Blink, there's a lot of stuff that I do as well that helps take care of my house and myself and my personal needs. I always tell them that the time will come when I come knocking on Blink's door and I want my stuff sorted out. And of course, from a CEO side, there are expenses that they take care of as a CEO.
Okay, because I was going to say, Blue, you don't look like 4,000 It's got to be enough for,
So
for your
stuff
needs.
like, my needs.
You're very well put together.
Yes, so for those things, But to say, okay, I just want money to just go to SA and breathe the air there and come back, no. That I sort out myself through my own side hustle. But time will come. Year one was about making ourselves known and presence and awareness. Year two, being this year, we're calling it the year of the client. So we're treating the client with much respect, love, and just getting to know each other. Year three will be about building more revenue to invest more into different elements of the business. Year four is expansion. I want to get out of Zambia and get, let's say, into like Botswana and Namibia. Year five is selling half.
At this point, when you say selling half, like
shares.
Shares.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And then we can now talk about how I'll look then, because it'll be very different.
So that just saves me the typical, where do you see yourself 5 years from now
from
question,
now,
because
but-
you've literally got a plan for every single year. Yeah. But I want to take you back. You said year one was about, making your presence known and, just announcing your arrival.
Yeah.
And I would like to believe that that does cost money.
It does.
You're in marketing.
It does.
You're a marketing exec.
Yeah.
So obviously it's about how you market and position yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you have to tap into some of your own hard work, some of the fruits of your hard work? And what I mean by that is, I've heard people that have used their pension, to start a business, or you hold on to your gratuity to start a business. Did you have to tap into the fruits of your own labor as part of that 2-year planning process?
Absolutely. Every account, really. And every savings account, every dollar account, pension as well, actually came in. So all those 2-year savings, pension, and also money so there were about 2 side hustles that I would do, literally closing one and pulling out all the resources from it and allocating it towards the business. So as we speak now, Blink owes me a lot of money.
Exactly.
But,
I'd like to believe it does.
But to your point, year one, you really need to you need to spend the money to make the money. That's the honest truth. There's a lot of brands out there today that are very visible because they put their money in the right places. But again, it's not small money. If you're entering the market by any standard, you need that capital. So yeah, a lot went in.
How did you enter the money? Where did you put your money? Because you said the right spaces, right places. What was your strategy?
So strategy was, I believe in direct marketing. Like whatever you're doing, always go to the source. So there was Zambia Institute of Marketing Award, ZIM. So we sponsored, we're actually platinum sponsors. So I think we're the first SME to ever be platinum sponsor. And I remember at the time, platinum sponsor was like 100,000.
That's very radical.
Yes, it was. Yes,
very
it was
radical
very radical.
move.
Yes, very radical. Like, okay, it's all in. On Tuesday. And not only did you have to pay for sponsorship, you had to pay obviously there's accommodation for your staff. There's setup. So we set up the whole place different. We had evening cocktails as well. So the whole idea was, let's target the marketers. Of course, CEOs also make a lot of decisions, but then the marketers are like the kid who wants that new shiny toy. So the CEOs at some point will listen to them and think, okay, it's a good idea for the business. So I said, let's target the marketers directly because that's who we'll be dealing with either way. And that paid off really well for us. I think it was the month of June. And already then, before that, we had about 2 clients who were on and off. But after that, it literally shot up. Last year, we did work for more than 12 clients.
Wow.
So it was a very busy year.
Very good start, actually.
Very good start.
Yeah.
And it was also pressure because you're thinking, okay, if we drop the ball at any point, then it would seem like we're bluffing. So you're literally just constantly pushing. But yeah, there was Zim, social media as well. I believe in it, guys. Social media, SME, that's your platform. We use a lot of social media in terms of how we present ourselves. Also, the timing was good. I knew that it was a point where people were looking at for me for answers when it comes to marketing. So, okay, fine, look at me for answers. Let me step out and then give them the answers from a consultancy point of view. So there's also timing, knowing very well that everyone's timing is always limited. So it's also about striking it when it's hot. So yeah, I think that was it as well.
Okay. You mentioned clients, and sometimes when you're planning, and when you've built and established, relationships with your clients, and this is me taking you back into the corporate space, when your last role was head of marketing at a named bank. That one, yes. And prior to that, you had a telecom as well, also in a managerial position.
True.
So I'd like to believe you build relationships with your clients. Yeah. Was there ever any point when you were now thinking to do your own thing that you thought maybe that client will follow me? Yeah. they'll tag along. How did you manage that fine line? Because you might look like you're stealing clients, but then people just sometimes move with a person.
Absolutely. Yeah, true.
What was that like for you?
It was really interesting because in a way, like mentioning those 12, there's some that I didn't move with.
Okay.
Who would say, okay, I know you're able to do the work, so let me come to you.
Yeah.
The others who would reach out, and because I know how the business is structured, I would actually say we can't do it.
Yeah.
Because the word you use is key because it's a relationship. So obviously sometimes with new clients, you don't know where it's going. You just like a relationship. Yeah. But for some of those who we did know, okay, these are structured in this way, and therefore would have to commit almost all our time, resources towards them, and they may not understand these elements of marketing. Therefore, it would be very difficult to prove, and we could fail. We literally say, okay, look, let's try it another time. At this point in time, we're kind of occupied, but thank you for reaching out. It was tough because that means you're also denying money.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's also about then your brand as well, to say we are positioned in this way and need to keep on moving in this way. So it helped in terms of being able to get a few from a relationship standpoint, but also helped in terms of being able to identify, to say I can't work with that particular client at this particular stage because it could sink us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Relationships. Leads me to monkey branching. Yeah. It's an analogy that's actually used for relationships, right? Like, don't let go of one until you've successfully grasped the next one. But then I want to use it like more of, a corporate space where before you let go of one branch, ensure that, it's working with the other branch that your hands latched onto. Yeah. What was the deciding factor for you to finally cut ties, with former employment and decide that this is the moment that I'm gonna hand in my resignation and do my own thing? Yeah. What was the deciding factor?
I think stepping into the previous corporate that I worked for, while I was heading marketing there, I think when I started, I was being told you really need to rebuild this brand. And I told myself, I'll do it in about 3 years, minimum 2, but I said 3 years. So once that's done, for me, this is evidence and proof that I'm able to build a brand. So I'm able to build a brand that big.
Right.
Then I can build a brand that's even, so that was one of the things, a combination of elements, because another part of it was, I felt like a lot more could have been done had I had a lot more leeway, freedom to actually do it. Being stuck at a point where you feel you are creative, you feel you want to create. Funny enough, because our slogan is desire to create, having that desire to create. But once there is like a fence or a wall in front of you, you feel restricted. And I always say, I felt like I reached a point where I was constantly just bungee jumping, but I wanted to skydive now.
Wow.
I wanted to experience like what's it like, but
too much adrenaline.
Too much adrenaline, yeah. So brands would be like, no, you can't skydive now. Like it's too fast.
Or at least not with our brand.
Thank you. I'm going to do it with your own brand. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to do it with my own brand. And then you skydive, they're like, oh, yeah, we see it. And I think that's it. And even just telling my employees as well to just say, skydive, like do the most. Let's create. Let's make mistakes. Let's see what comes out of it. But I think, for me, it was creating a brand and realizing that I can do more. And also just having that thing of there being a limit, and I didn't want it. I wanted to experience more free space, freedom. Yeah.
You've actually, touched on something that's very important, and it's actually got me thinking as well, because, God has given us all these gifts and, talents and innate abilities, but I think when you're in formal employment, one thing that you don't really stop to think about is, okay, so it's easy to say I'm results-oriented, right? Like in your resume, but you've actually introduced a new thought for me in that if I can achieve these results for a corporate entity, then chances are that I can also achieve these results if I apply it into another area of my life. Absolutely. But then we don't stop to actually look at what we have in our hands and, get started from there.
Yes. Yes.
And you took the time to see what's in your hands, play to your strengths, plan for it as well. And
calculated risks.
Plan for it, a calculated risk. Yeah. Would you say that sometimes startups fail because the planning stage was missed?
Yeah, I think so. Planning also, which has got an element of strategy as well. Yeah. I feel like a lot of them don't, several things. One being the planning is not there. Even a lot of them, if you ask them what are your values, what's your mission, vision, they'll just be like, we're just there. And the problem is if you're creating a business or structure that is just supposed to help your household, that already is a risk, because then as soon as something goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So planning, definitely, lack of even the strategy being embedded into the planning, definitely. Even just the patience. I feel like we are quite impatient. You see your neighbor driving out in a fancy car, you start your business year one, and you want to also then reach there.
Catch up.
You want to catch up. Yeah. So we don't put
and overtake.
And overtake.
I have to do better.
I have to do better. And I understand it's not easy. It's not easy, but there's a lot of discipline also then required at the same time. Are you going out and spending 5,000-10,000 kwacha, or are you staying home and just grabbing your favorite takeaway and just staying home? But I think it's a combination of factors, but in Zambia specifically, planning is a big thing.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna throw an interesting question your way. Some time back, I used to trade like makwebo, makeup, clothes, shoes. And honestly for me, tamanga business. But I did that while I was in uni. And I think at the time what drove me was, I've seen someone else do it and it seems to be working well for them. So let me try it. Yeah. And at some point again, I did step away from the corporate space and decided to do one or two things, open up a shop. Was I self-employed or was I an entrepreneur?
You were self-employed.
Self-employed. Because those are two words that I've noticed.
Yeah, self-employed and entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Big difference.
There's a big difference. Could you take us through the difference?
I feel like, and maybe just to make it very simple, for people when someone says I am self-employed, it really comes from employment.
Okay.
So if a corporate or even non-corporate SME has employed you, you are sorting out, it's almost paycheck by paycheck. You're getting enough just to get by. The tamanga business that you've structured, where they're selling wigs, shoes, clothes, that's your source of income. At the most, you've got maybe a person who helps you post on social media, at the very most, but the way they're structured, you're the one who's doing pakra, you're the one who's posting, you're the one who's going to buy, you're the one who's negotiating.
And usually there isn't even the pakra element. You really think about it. No. You just catch a flight and go and buy stuff.
And come back and then
come
sell.
Back,
post on Facebook maybe, or post in a WhatsApp group and it's done. And for me, that is definitely self-employment, because you're not building any form of structure. Entrepreneurship, on the other hand, or even let's say a businesswoman, you are running a business. Businessman, you're running a business. An entrepreneur, you are increasing value. You're providing value to other people, yes, but also you are in charge of an entity, a whole conglomerate in some cases. Whilst for self-employment, it's literally just the money that you're getting. You move off what's supposed to go into the goods, you come back, you sell, that sorts out your day-to-day, and you're done. Entrepreneurship, on the other hand, is you're an entrepreneur. Whatever money is coming in, you need to allocate it towards what are your overheads, yes, what are your salaries, fixed costs, non-fixed costs, how much is being reinvested into the business, the rental space that you have. There's so many elements that are involved in it. Both have competition, yes, but it's a different ball game altogether. And I feel with entrepreneurship, you're really getting to a point of something that also lives on. You're able to employ another CEO who then takes over. From the self-employment stage, it's the only way that things may carry on is maybe you buy goods, God forbid you pass on, someone comes, gets the goods, then continues. But that's not the same in terms of continuity.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not really going towards building an empire unless it changes.
Right.
And then you're moving from just your self-employment and paying yourself to now paying others and sorting out. Yeah, so it's more.
That's a buzzword. Yeah. Pay yourself, self-employment.
Yeah, self-employment is pay yourself. Entrepreneurship is being able to pay others, yes, but now you're now in charge of an entity. Self-employment, you're in charge of yourself. Entrepreneurship is more or less of an entity.
So it sounds like you can actually do both.
Yeah, you can.
Would you advise to do both?
No. Well, I think it depends. I would say it depends on at which state you're at. I think the economy that we live in, especially Africa as well, not even Africa, if you just look at it across, you would say that you pick one of the billionaires as an example. They've got multi-billionaire companies. They themselves are billionaires, but they use their money to invest into other facets and companies. They don't use the company's money.
Okay.
So in a way, they're still also then self-employed because they're sorting themselves out. So I wouldn't say to forgo it completely, but I think it applies at different stages of a business. I feel we do a lot of like to your point, you're holding on to one branch, holding on to other, but then where do you have and apply the focus and energy?
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like when that point where you do let go and you're focusing on this branch, focus on that branch, get it to a point where it's at a good level, and then begin to pull in these other things that will bring in more money for you.
All right. You, again, keep going back to where you're coming from. I'd like to believe you had a very good pay before you left.
Yeah, it was nice.
Very nice, very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Probably even more than.
Very comfortable.
And sometimes that's actually part of the fear. Like, I'm walking away from this and stepping into, unknown waters. And you've downgraded from what you've told us from that cushy pay to like paying yourself 4,000 kwacha.
Yeah.
And that is courage in itself. Yeah. But not everyone has that, comfort of stepping away maybe from a high-paying job, but they would love to get started.
Yeah, true.
What would you say to a person like that? They've got a dream, they've got a goal. They may not have all the resources. They may not have, employment that they can, save up.
Yeah. Where do you start?
Where do you start? Exactly.
I feel like it's like we mentioned, I think at the beginning of the show, to just say start. A lot of us don't just start, but going back into the complexity of it, there are situations where the money that you do get, whether it's a good amount or a comfortable amount, still helps you sort out your stress. Whether it's family-oriented, medicals, there's so much that happens. So I do understand people where they have the dream, but you have bills. So it's not easy to then wake up and say, okay, we're just going to go and do it. So I do understand. But it's also the other side that I saw and that I continue to see is, do you continue to struggle in this element of unhappiness, but still able to sort out bills, yet you're not following your dream and the potential of it? If it so happens that you pursue your dream and you fail, the worst case is that you will fail. There'll still be jobs, but then now you actually know better. Whether you try again is also up to you. But I feel we need to move from the point of always thinking about let's find jobs to let's create jobs. I feel especially in Zambia, we're caught on this mentality of now I need to find a job. So we need to move from now let's create jobs for ourselves, for other people. And it all starts from there. And I'll just say to people, just start to explore, take the leap. The worst case is you fail. And you asked me earlier to say, what point did I know? It's also when I knew that, okay, I'm ready to get broke. I'm ready to fail. And irrespective of what people think. And I think that's also another thing that hits us is, what do people think? I don't know why our parents kind of put that in our heads to say people are always thinking about you. No, they're not.
Really not.
They're not. They talk about you for 5 seconds and they move on. But then we are so stuck on it to say, if I do this, what do people think? If I move from driving a BMW to getting on the bus, what do people think? But more, let's look at it from now to a point now when you are successful in what you're doing, then what do they think?
Exactly.
Yeah, and we forget that. We just focus on the negative, but we should be more positive people, more positive-oriented people, and I think we need that in order to start. Yeah.
You brought in parents, and that's an aspect of family as well.
Yeah.
What did they think when you said, hey, listen, I'm actually stepping away from my job and I'm going to start up my own business?
It was interesting. I think I used the word interesting. My parents, it was that thing where, like today they'll call you and be like, okay, we understand. I met some young people who are doing very well, so you'll be fine. The next day they'll call you and be like, maybe think about it. Give yourself 2 more years. And making it worse, what didn't work or didn't help is I had about 3-4 other organizations who had heard that I left and were saying, come and work for us. So I'm very open with my parents. I'll tell them everything. They're like, oh, maybe take it. It's more period than the previous one even. Like, just go. Just, try 2 years. Go back and then try. I'm like, no, it's now. So they were supportive, yes, but they were very, they were afraid for me. I think thinking, okay, if he hits rock bottom, then will he actually get up and continue? So, but I still appreciate the support. It helped.
So you had 4 other offers.
4 other offers.
That's how good you are at your work. Wow. Yeah. And your previous place, did they try and hold you back as well?
We had a discussion.
You had a discussion.
Brief, but I think they had also seen that, I think at that point they thought I was leaving for other reasons. Okay. So, and I don't think they really thought that, okay, this guy is serious and probably just go home and find another job and work in another organization. But I think now that they've seen that, he was serious about what he's doing, has kind of shifted. Even the relationship that we have has also shifted in a good way. Okay. But left in peace. I extended it maybe by a month. Just
park right there. Left in peace.
Yeah.
How important is it to leave right?
Very, very. Don't burn bridges. No matter what, don't go through the right channels. Do it the right way. Have conversations. I tea actually with people that mattered. Yeah. And,
here.
Exactly. People that mattered, and it is very important also from a point of you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. There could be either one, your next client, or let's say you do hit rock bottom and for some reason things don't work out and you go back. Yeah, you should be able to go back. So, and to go back with a point of just saying, I tried and I'm still here. Yeah.
Very important. The market space, I mean, I don't know if I can call it saturated, but then there's a lot of agencies, there's a lot of creativity, and you did mention social media. I guess it's kind of given the illusion that you can market yourself and build your own brand. When you were setting up Blink, what did you envision creating that is not already on the market?
Yeah. Maybe to start with, I'll mention, I think currently there are more than 10 agencies in Zambia. I think when I counted even the little ones that are also still positioning themselves, I think we reached 15 or something. So it's quite a number. But also one thing that also hit me was there are more than 10 banks in Zambia at the same time. And a lot of them are making over $1 billion in profit after tax. So it was, for me, one was, okay, it is saturated, but we'll position ourselves different. How, to your question, is more or less on, yes, the creative front. I feel it all starts internally. So today's Thursday. So even why you see me in this gear is Thursday we have gym sessions with the team every Thursday. So we work out every Thursday just to clear out the stress. Fridays we try and knock off at 3 p.m. And clients shouldn't hear this, but knock off at 3 p.m. to just get the load off. Play pool within the office is at any time. We play PS5. We have a very...
You've got PS5 at your office?
Yes,
That's a very playful environment.
Very playful. There's Netflix, there's DSTV.
Wow.
So it's very...
Okay.
And do it at your own time if you feel, so long as you're still delivering.
Okay.
So people are very free. We've got board games, Monopoly, Scrabble, everything.
I should be in your space.
Yes, please.
I think when I feel like I need to unclog, I'll come pay you a visit.
Yeah, please. You're more than welcome.
And at the same time get, tips.
Yes, you are more than
Proper
welcome.
tips, because I've picked up so much already. You don't even know.
Serious. That's good. I appreciate it. You're more than welcome. And that was it. It was starting internally to have that desire to create, because a lot of organizations, a lot of corporates have got agencies, yes, but a lot of agencies at the same time just listen to what the corporates are saying. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, please do it. So for us, one of the key things was, one, we are focused more on strategy than development. So we do develop, but in order for you to develop the right product service, you need to look back as in how are you designed the right way. So a lot of strategy, focus on a lot of insights, research a lot. We research quite a bit. Our graphics guys are insane. We're giving them the freedom, and it comes from, again, the internal structure in terms of how it all is embedded. The team is also very young. I think I'm the oldest.
And how young is the youngest?
Young is 24.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Very youthful.
Yeah, very youthful crowd. I think in the 30, it was just me and Cassandra, but everyone else is very young. 24. His name is Willard, and so it's more or less of that young, vibrant energy that's also there. Another key thing is also execution, being able to not only present to you the idea, but to actually execute it according to what was actually there, and the speed at which it actually comes with. So one thing that we're always pushing for, we've got apps that track our traffic to make sure that we're up to date. So
wow.
It's about speed.
So you're also working very smart.
Yes, working very smart.
Yeah.
Very, like using technology. It's there, guys, so let's use it. So I would say those would be one of our unique selling points. Even when you go to clients, they experience us, they would tell, okay, we got the strategy, we even got the speed of execution, we got the implementation, execution is great, let's go back. Because for us, that's the key thing, is having a repeat client come in. So
Wow.
So.
You sound disruptive.
Yes.
Are you a disruptive brand?
Yes, very much.
Do you hit any, brick walls? Because some corporates are very traditional in how they want to do things and very set in their ways.
A lot of
so what's being disruptive like in a space where there's a lot of traditional marketing ways?
It requires a lot of patience, and convincing. Yes, I feel like almost every day we are selling to the client. If it's a client that's attached to a group, we're fighting with group and them not understanding how Zambia works.
Yeah.
So and I love the fact that you mentioned disruptive, because that is one thing that we push for, is let's cause some form of disruption, because that's the only way that we believe people will get people's attention at the same time. Because to your point again, it's saturated. Even from a client point of view, there's billboards everywhere, there's on radio, there's ad after ad after ad. So how are you doing it different? But of course then pushback comes from the client. But it's also about proving the little work that we've done so far has given us at least case studies already to say we've done this with this client and this happened, we've done this with this client and this happened. This happened in SA or Zimbabwe, and then you guys came about to affect it towards this particular level. So been fortunate to say some have tried, they may not try the full-on thing, but just buy in a little bit to see that, okay, they know what they're doing, it makes sense, let me buy in a bit more. So I'm waiting for the day when I have this daring client who does everything, and then people will be able to see that, okay,
they go skydiving.
Yes, let's go skydiving.
Bungee jumping.
This one bungee jump. We're skydiving, they're like bungee jumping. So once we all skydive, I think we'll then see the potential of the market as well. And I think it will shift a lot of things from just in a creative space, really. Yeah.
Would you do anything differently?
Like from the beginning to now? Before I was saying that I would have started earlier, but I stopped saying that because there are a lot of learnings that have come from waiting. The the fact that even Blink now has been known in such a short period of time just goes to show that the learnings also then and the application then was necessary. So I find that we could have been where we are today had we started 5 years ago. So I think it's all about timing. Maybe one element would be to have registered it maybe sooner, because clients always don't be, say you've only been in existence for a year, and maybe just to, and I would say to anyone, if you have a business, register. We did register it earlier, but then we had to change it. Ideally, I was thinking, okay, let's be the ones who cause a shift, some form of disruption in the digital space, which is actually Blink digital marketing. But then just a bit more research and looking into the market, just realizing Zambia is not there yet. It's growing, but even to convince a client to say, bring 1 million kwacha, put it all towards digital, they would scream.
Crazy.
That's
our budget.
That's our budget. But we're just saying, but think about the result, but they don't see it yet. But I would say registering it earlier would be the only thing, just so that it kind of hashes out that conversation and we start on better terms.
Speaking of money, is all money good money? Are there some jobs that you've turned down, some brands that you shied away from working with?
Yeah, we have. I think, the way that we look at it now, there are some brands that may not be aligned to the core values of our business, that we have said, okay, guys, unfortunately, we're not able to do it. But the biggest thing also for us is the timing and also the amount. We're still living in an era where the marketing space is growing. Some companies only hire marketing experts now. It's like, what have you guys been doing this whole time? Yeah, it's shocking. But just seeing that the environment is not really, it's not friendly, yes, but also a lot of them don't want to spend. So they would say, these are our KPIs for this campaign, but we want the moon, but we only have 200,000 kwacha. And then you're saying, okay guys, if we do it, we will get you like a bit of the moon and the 200,000. Some clouds here and there, but not the whole moon, but we want the whole moon. And it's about making the choice. Last year also, we had a few projects that we did where it was just about building relationships. This year, we're also looking at, okay, fine, there's a relationship that we built on, but if you guys are not putting in double the amount, we can't work on it, because also from a business sense, there's no sense. So, we've rejected a few based on values, but the majority are based on the time. Being able to calculate how much time will it cost the business, and then is it actually worth it for my employees as well? People need to get stressed out. So, funny enough, those times when I would ask my team to say, should we actually do this project, and would vote. And the loudest person would be the one to actually manage the project, because they must take that responsibility that comes with, so that you know that if I'm advocating for something, I should be sure and be able to calculate and see whether it makes business sense.
How do you deal with your stress? I mean, your team, you've created a very nice environment for them to unclog. How do you, as the CEO, deal with stress?
One, I would say, other than the music in the morning and playtime with my son, or just living with my son, I would say my employees as well. Actually, we have we're very close unit. It's more or less family than boss do. When someone calls me boss.
I want to squeeze in a question right there. Aren't you afraid of familiarity breeding contempt?
So in the beginning, there was some parts of it. Just like, oh, okay, then we're okay. Like
Not that you should be a horrible boss and give us part 3 of that movie.
No.
But
and also that's also the thing. Like right now, we're in a part or an era again where there's mental health. There is just people's overall being. People nowadays are so quick to react in an environment that they're not happy in. So if you're not happy in an environment, you're gone. So you find that your staff turnover becomes ridiculous, that affects your business. So being able just to create an open-minded space, I think even learning from the way that our parents brought us up, if your parents are strict, you will not go and tell them things that you're willing to try and do. But if they're more or less welcoming and open, you have that nice steady flow, and you may make mistakes, you may still get a beating here and there, but it's more close and more real, more caring. And I think that's what we're kind of building. The familiarity does come in, even just not from my end, because also they have to report to someone else.
Exactly.
In a way, but for me, even if we're playing pool until 17 hours, we go home, I'll still call you at 02 and ask you where's my work. So,
Okay.
yeah, so they've seen that, okay, as much as there's play, he's about his work, he's about his business at the end of the day. So if we're to get along, I'll do his work. If we're not getting along, I will give you your charge sheet, I'll still tell you where you're not performing. We're very open like that. So even if I make a mistake and something is hanging on my side, I tell my people, they come and tell me to say, boss, I cannot do this because it's waiting for you to do that. Most cases, people think, okay, because the CEO is holding it, let me wait, but not knowing that's your KPI. So, yeah, it's been interesting, but more or less, more net.
I didn't think you'd tell me your team helps you de-stress, but I mean,
they
that
do.
speaks to the way that you do your business and handle your team.
Exactly.
Again,
Outdoors helps
more
out.
gems being picked up.
And that's the thing, you should be able to just coexist in a way, because we spend too much time in the office. So I'm like, okay, if we want to spend so much time here, then we must help each other at the end of the day in order to actually distress. And they're loud and they're bubbly. So when you come in and you're dark and gloomy, it will switch.
Yeah, wet blanket.
Yeah,
automatically.
exactly. Yeah, outdoor activities help as well. Running, I love running. I run at least once a month towards the end of the month. I skip every Wednesday and Monday. I swim every Wednesday, Monday. So very exercise for me helps then also remove those toxins and breathe.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Before I let you go, tell me about the pendant around your neck.
This guy.
Seeing the cross, I like to throw in some curveball questions from time to time.
I've had it for a long time. Probably, I would say 7 years. Yeah, for 7 years. And for me, it's more or less of it's got meaning to it in terms of believing and knowing that Jesus did die on the cross. And we know that he died for our sins. We know the full-blown story of it and him being our savior, right? But for me, what it means also is being grounded in something. At the end of the day, when he was crucified, he was grounded in it. So as he died for our sins, he was grounded in that soil. So as a human being, I always believe that as we exist, be grounded in something, have some values, have some belief system, and stick to it. So even at times whenever I feel myself going off tangent, it's more or less of a reminder to say I'm grounded in this, so let me fixate and committed to this. You may stray, yes, as a human being, but it's more or less a reminder to say come back to what you're grounded to. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I'm glad I asked. Yeah. Blue, I could go on and on with you. Like, it's just such an easy flowing conversation.
I'm both in black today.
Yes. I guess there was an internal memo going on, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not gym day for me, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm in black.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'll join you probably in like the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, please.
Yeah.
In fact, the time when you come, we'll make sure that it's gym day, so from the office we'll go to gym.
Please.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
No, pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Great having you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and wishing you God's best in all your future endeavors. And I know we have not seen the last of you.
No, you
so
won't.
here's to more wins, more awards, and more disruption.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. It's been another great episode. We were tackling the courage to get started, and you've heard it from Blue himself, start where you are, start with what you have, and even if you fail, what's the worst that could happen? At least you would have tried. So don't forget to tune in to Create Your Christian Voice every Wednesday at 7 p.m. to catch Truth and Tea, and also do look out for the YouTube uploads on Radio Christian Voice and the Urban Evangelist platforms. Have a blessed day. Much love.